So riots are breaking out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania over a man named Ricardo Munoz because he was shot by a white officer. And whenever that happens, it's always Black Lives Matter and white people are bad and white cops are bad, abolish the police and all that nice little yada, yada, yada. But the thing about it is your riots are unjustified. And that man who you're defending, Ricardo, deserved what happened to him. And let me break this down so simply. You have the police being called over a domestic disturbance. They come in and there's full body cam footage of all this, and I'm not going to play it or show it because it's too graphic, but you can go look for it online. The cop comes to the door. There's somebody standing at the door. They close the door, and all of a sudden Ricardo bursts out and he sees the cop. And I don't know if the cop is trying to de-escalate the situation, but Ricardo charges at the officer with a knife. You could see him holding a knife in the video, and everyone's going to sit there and say, oh, he was unarmed. This was unjustified. It's another sign of the police being violent and abusing power. Not the case at all. That man charged at that officer, and the officer did something weird. This officer did something I never expected an officer to do in that situation. He ran away. Like he's charging at the officer, and the officer turns the other way and tries to distance himself. Why? Because the officer doesn't want to be stabbed. How logical. So after running and he's not getting any distance, he turns around and he shoots him. And I watched that video and I'm thinking, what about this is racist? What about this is systemic? What about this proves that cops are bad? This is somebody who tried to avoid being hurt and turned around and said, you know what, you're a danger, so I'm just going to put one in you. And this is justified. This is not a situation where we could sit here and say, oh, this is another case of Black Lives Mattering and how people are trying to censor us and people are trying to make sure that we live in a racist society. No, this is somebody who has a past of stabbing people with a knife, charging at an officer and getting his due diligence. Like, what do you want from this situation? What are you rioting for? What are your protests in Lancaster for right now? You people look so stupid defending somebody who not only has a history of stabbing people, but was potentially about to stab another person on body cam. And you could spare me the, what is a cop supposed to do in this situation? I know if I was in that situation, you know what I would do? The same thing the cop did, because this man is charging at me. I don't have time to de-escalate. I don't have time to sit here and say, oh, buddy, could you please calm down? Could you please back off of me? I have a split-second decision to figure out what I'm going to do. And I get that you people, you kids, you grew up on cartoons that solve all their problems with talking. But in the real world, you have a split second to figure out what it is you're going to do. And if somebody is charging at you with a knife and with clear intentions to probably harm you, you got to think of something. And of course, they're already throwing it out there. They're throwing the sympathy card out there. Oh, he's autistic. What do you mean? He suffers from autism. Okay. Like, what did you want me to say to that? You are autistic, but you have a history of stabbing people. What about the people you stabbed? They were just there. They just had to take the brunt of the hit because you're autistic. No, just because you're autistic doesn't give you a free pass. Just because you're black doesn't give you a free pass. And yes, just because you're white, it doesn't give you a free pass either. This situation is not Black Lives Matter. This isn't systemic racism. This isn't somebody everybody should be sitting here and protesting for. We shouldn't be charging the police. We shouldn't be sitting here in these riots. But of course, I'm saying that they're rioting right now. I believe it's like 10 in the morning right now. And maybe not, but they're rioting right now. They're out there protesting, vandalizing property over a situation and got nothing to do with it. Over a justified situation. So I guess people just want to riot. I guess people just want to break in the stores and get everything out of them because they're broke and they can't afford it. But honestly, my message to end this video for everybody who's a fan of Black Lives Matter, for all the protests and stuff, pick your battles, please. Like, just do your research, pick your battles, and just wait. Wait for evidence to come out about these situations, because I know it upsets you seeing only black people get hurt. I know it upsets you when only black people get hurt, but you have to pick your battles. You have to sit here and understand that, okay, many of these situations can't be this cut and dry. It can't be a white person just walking up. It can't be a white person just going about their day and they see somebody that's not white and they say, bang! It's not like that. It's not like that. Maybe in some robust situations it is like that. I'm not going to sit there and say that it's never happened, because it has. But in this situation, it's justified. And no matter how much you want to cry about how much he was autistic, no matter how much you want to cry about racism and systemic racism, this situation, the one that everybody's going to have an uproar about now, is justified, whether you like it or not. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.